What's good, World Republic? Welcome back to another video. Editor Sly here. Glad you could make it. Before we start, please join the Discord community, link down below for me. When you click the link, the invite should appear as shown. Click accept invite for direct access to yours truly, your fellow community, as well as being notified every time we go live. You'll also be able to view all VODs from the Discord server, as well as any YouTube videos, and be notified when I post here on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, around 99% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. Make sure you fix that by hitting the subscribe button and turning on all notifications. If you do that, I can find the content for you and we can watch it together. Shout out to all my current subscribers as well as current subs on Twitch. We call y'all citizens, you feel me? And yeah, enjoy the video. What's good, YouTube? About another reaction. We got why Chakra in Naruto doesn't make sense by the dog Kidomaki. We're gonna try to be as like smooth as we can be and cordial when it comes to this reaction, as it is a 16-minute video. As always, I'm gonna pre-fire a like, and I'm gonna recommend to check out the Discord server down below. You can be notified every time I post a YouTube video, which is twice daily. Every time I go live on Twitch, you'll also be able to tap in with the community. We're going to see if Kidomaki is a top tier content creator he's worth subscribing to. I messed with his thumbnail. Let's see what he's talking about.
Chakra is the very fundamental basis behind Naruto's power system. It is the energy that powers everything within the universe, whether it be ninjutsu, genjutsu, juinjutsu, and even certain forms of taijutsu. This allows everything to be easily understood for the most part, but there's something that never quite made sense, which is the origins of Chakra itself. You see, Chakra as a concept was first introduced in chapter 17 of Naruto's manga, which, funnily enough, Naruto had no idea what Chakra was at this point in time.
An anime, you call that bit Chakra.
Despite being a ninja on an active mission, but that is Naruto for ya. The point is that Chakra was set to function in a very specific way, but was later retconned twice. The first explanation was provided when Sakura said that the energy needed to perform jutsu has two parts: the body's energy that's in each of your cells and the spiritual energy gained through training and other.
Low-key though, being cognizant of flawed narrator, anything Sakura said, no disrespect to Sakura, even though Sakura's slander is very prevalent, anything she says as a Kenin at that, don't take that at face value.
Experiences. So by bringing out and releasing Chakra, you can use a jutsu, which of course is performed using hand signs. So in a sense, the production of Chakra is seen as a deliberate act, not something everyone has naturally. This of course is later backed up in chapter 90 during Naruto's training with Ibisu. He goes on to say that this diagram shows the flow of physical and mental energies collectively called stamina, which move within the body whenever a ninja uses ninjutsu, taijutsu, or genjutsu. This is important to note since the diagram indicates that the central portion, which shows the rotating arrows, is where the production of chakra occurs, by the way of mixing mental and physical energies. This then flows into the chakra section, which of course is clearly naturally empty. He then further notes that taijutsu does not require chakra outside of a few exceptions. It is only necessary to expend the precise amount of stamina needed by that particular move. This is also displayed by Mr. Rockley expending 30% of his stamina to produce taijutsu, which of course leaves him with 70% of his stamina gauge. Now, in the case of ninjutsu or genjutsu, this is a tad bit different since one must first amass the chakra needed to perform the technique. This is shown by Naruto extracting 30% of his stamina and using it to produce the equivalent amount of chakra.
Okay, well this is a diagram, and I guess he is right in the fact that it would be a retcon, because originally you believed that chakra is kind of like its own separate thing, and it's like it wasn't directly linked to stamina, but we in our heads go stamina matters because people can run out of chakra, right? But we also know that chakra reserves are a completely different thing. So it's like it has you thinking chakra is not correlated to stamina, while here in this diagram is directly saying stamina gets turned into chakra. You don't just have chakra sitting there besides what's it like keeping your body alive. But to get enough chakra to pop a ninjutsu, genjutsu, etc., you have to convert your stamina into chakra.
chakra. In this example, he's using the shadow clone technique that requires 10% chakra, which then leaves him with 20% chakra and 70% remaining stamina. He then notes that if both your stamina and chakra fell to 0, you will die. This, of course, is very important since the possibility of dying due to chakra exhaustion was initially mentioned by Kakashi. This happened during his Chidori training, where Kakashi informed Sasuke that his limit is 2 Chidori in 1 day, at least for now. And this was specifically due to the amount of chakra Sasuke could produce at that point in time, not because of any other factors. Sasuke then asked him what would happen if he tried to use more than 2, and Kakashi outright says that he will die if he tried to use
Chidori or Raikiri.
more than 2, and Kakashi outright says that
Wait,
he will die.
he's talking about himself? You're still amazing. Even if I use 4 Chidori or Raikiri in the same day, I'll use up all my chakra. Really? That's a crazy statement. It's putting Sasuke right here at half the chakra of a Jonin.
To use more than 2, and Kakashi outright says that he will die. And his reasoning for this was because Sasuke's chakra would be drained to 0. Now this has constantly been brought up as a retcon in Naruto since it's somewhat contradicted by Bisu. It says that if your chakra and stamina both fall to 0, you would die, but Kakashi never mentions stamina. So in one instance you die if your chakra reaches 0, and in another instance it's both your chakra and stamina. Now to be fair, this isn't much of a problem since stamina creates chakra. So one could simply say that Kakashi is assuming that Sasuke wouldn't have any chakra left because he also doesn't have any stamina. Because of course, if Sasuke does have stamina, he could simply create more chakra. That can still be a bit confusing since chakra is shown.
Peak diagram, hold on, chat. There's editing that went into this video. I'm sorry, I can respect it.
To have its own section that is normally empty until a ninja creates chakra. So it would have been way better if Kakashi said that Sasuke would have died if he had 0 stamina instead of 0 chakra.
Cause that kinda makes sense. I mean, well no it doesn't. Chakra is life force energy. So in theory, if you tell anybody, yeah bro, you have 0 chakra, right? Which is slang essentially for life force energy, you should be dead. If I have 0 stamina, bro, I could pass out or something. I'm not dead. You feel me?
Also, the diagram itself is a tad bit weird since it has mental and physical energy mixed in one section, which is what stamina is. Then for some reason it has to then pour into another section to mix again to create chakra. This of course doesn't make sense since they were already mixed, so why have them separated as indicated by the 2 branches just to have them merge again? This would have made way more sense if there was a line in the middle which separated the mental from the physical energy, which would explain the need to
I mean, that kind of makes sense though. There's mental and physical stamina.
Have them mixed to create chakra. So that part was a tad bit
and that would make sense if we're saying like if you're out of stamina, you get packed. Because normally when what I just said, if I'm out of stamina, I'll just pass out. That's just physical exhaustion. But if your mental stamina is at 0, along with your physical stamina being at 0, I doubt there are people that can like explain how that happens to them and they're still just fine. You know?
Nonsensical. By the way, there's another component to chakra most people aren't aware of, which is the fact that the chakra that isn't immediately used is wasted. In this example, Naruto is especially bad at manipulating chakra. So even though he only needs 30% chakra to use the
that's also important to chakra efficiency.
shadow clone jutsu, he creates 50% chakra instead. And since his chakra control is also poor, he ends up using 10% of the 30% needed to use the jutsu, which results in a barely functioning shadow clone. What happens next is very important because the leftover 40% chakra just turns to waste for some reason. So yeah, ninjas don't have the ability to retain the chakra they produce. They have to use all of it for the intended jutsu, or apparently.
Dang, that means Genin are literal dog water, because like they wouldn't know. And that means the shinobi calculates like their growth into how much percentage they need, because we're looking at it as percentage, but in all actuality, the amount the Genin has versus the amount of Jonin has are different. So the percentage that you need should be lower as you climb up in your reservoir and like as you like use chakra more. So it's like in theory, as you improve your reserves, the percentage you use is less. So if you're not accounting for that, you're just wasting hella more
just
than you
evaporates into nothingness. This is because according to Ibisu, ninjas just can't recycle the surplus chakra back into their stamina pool, and extra chakra just goes to waste. Now of course you have ninjas like Sakura that possess perfect chakra control, which means that she produces the exact amount of chakra needed for the intended jutsu every time, which is why she has zero waste. This of course is very interesting by the way, because it goes back to the original point of Kakashi saying if Sasuke's chakra goes to zero, he will die. When it's also the case that a ninja's chakra is always at zero for the most part, and any chakra that isn't immediately used after creation just goes to waste for some reason. By the way, it's also then contradicted in the war again, when the Ten Tails says that when Naruto is in Biju chakra mode, the Nine Tails is sucking up his own chakra. And that's because Naruto has set aside his own chakra to use the Kyuubi chakra, so he's not using both at the same time. They then also illustrate this, by the way, by showing this section in Naruto's body that...
So to use Kurama's chakra, he puts his chakra into Kurama, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a siphon. And it makes sense because it allows his vessel to not go to zero at all times. It's never at zero. And it can make sense why you can switch forms and stuff like that. Perfectly fine. Okay. Tight.
That has his chakra, and outright says again that if his chakra levels reaches zero, he's going to die. This of course again doesn't really make sense since a ninja's chakra is always at zero anyway, unless they create a certain amount to use a certain jutsu. So Naruto shouldn't even be having this issue with the Nine Tails since there shouldn't be any Naruto chakra for him to steal, because Naruto wouldn't need to create his own chakra while using KCM, like as they themselves just said. Now speaking of the Nine Tails, it's
thumbnail says chakra paradox.
Also said that the fourth Hokage constructed the tetragram seal on Naruto's stomach so that a little bit of the Nine Tails chakra leaks out to be skimmed off in hopes of becoming one with Naruto's chakra, which assumes that there's this ever-present pool of Naruto's chakra for it to merge with, which we already established isn't the case. I mean, Naruto himself says that the reason why he has plenty of Naruto...
See, what I understand is like, basically... From what we understand, based off not what they're saying, from like, he's going off what they're saying, right? And kind of talking about how they're contradicting themselves. But what I'm saying is, from what we understand of chakra, what that just implies is that it's like an infinite leveling glitch for Naruto in terms of his own reserves. Like Kurama's chakra naturally merges with his, increasing his amount and his ability to regen chakra. Because Kyuubi or like Jinchuriki are naturally, like, they're low-key chakra batteries because they're literally just things made of chakra. They're like entire chakra beasts. So it's like they're, for lack of a better term, they're literally just a living battery, right? Obviously they have egos. Obviously they can kind of feel pain, but they're chakra batteries, right? So assuming part of this battery's energy is constantly leaking out, and then Naruto's body is like naturally absorbing it back, it is being like converted. So not only is he siphoning, like for that form, he's siphoning his chakra into Kurama while Kurama's chakra goes into him. Naturally, Kurama's chakra leaks out because he's not going to feel it, and he regens it because his life force is this battery, so he can, you know. And then in Naruto's case, he's converting the residual Kurama chakra into Naruto chakra.
Is because of the Nine Tails chakra that skimmed off into his own pool over the years, which by the way also implies that Naruto is able to repurpose excess chakra and store it within himself, which was previously stated to not be possible, which is why whenever a ninja creates more chakra than a jutsu needs, the excess chakra is just wasted. So how was Naruto able to store the excess chakra that skimmed off from the Nine Tails over the years, and why was it viewed as normal while the opposite of this was also viewed as normal at the same time? Now of course, one could simply say that the Nine Tails chakra just works differently, so it bypasses whatever causes excess chakra to just dissipate, and everyone knows this. So I think it would have been better to just not add this metric where ninjas are not able to store excess chakra for later use, especially when you have Kakashi saying that Naruto and Sasuke have massive untapped chakra reserves, which literally implies that it is chakra retained.
Because I just said that, because like you hear that a lot in Naruto, reserves. Like Naruto has more reserves than Kurama, so he survived the Baryon mode thing. Reserves is constantly used in Naruto.
For future use. That is what a reserve is. Now, everything I said was a blatant contradiction, makes perfect sense based on this later retcon. You see, it was later revealed that an entity called the Ten Tails was brought to the planet by the Otsutsuki, which is then used to absorb the chakra of all living things on the planet, the key word there being chakra. And since it was initially explained that chakra is created by molding your mental and physical energies together multiple times by Sakura, Ibisu, and even the Toad Sages, it would make sense since you could simply argue that humans always had chakra since they always possessed mental and physical energies. But for some reason, Kishimoto decided to retcon this during the war. This, of course, came in the form of Madara, explaining that chakra was originally given to humans by the Sage of Six Paths. It was meant to be a linking power, something that would connect the mental energies between people. Instead, what ended up happening is that after some time, people used that chakra.
That's crazy, because the way that sounds like is as if everyone's on the same, like, server, or like, yeah, server is the best word to use for it. Everyone's on the same, like, servers. It's like being on the same Wi-Fi network.
To not connect with each other, but to link their mental and physical energies within themselves as a way to amplify the chakra that was given to them. So what this means is that humans weren't able to use their mental and physical energies to create chakra. They used the chakra Hagoromo gave to them to link those energies, which then amplified that same chakra. By the way, amplify just means to increase the intensity of something that is already there. It's not the same as creating something that isn't there, which is what they initially said that.
I don't think him saying that as semantics either. I think it genuinely, like, they're contradicting themselves. So word choice that they use is important to, like, keep an eye out for.
Humans did, by the way. They said that they used mental and physical energy to create and produce chakra. They used those words multiple times. So this is just a blatant retcon, since it also implies that humans always had chakra present within their bodies at all times, which is the opposite of what was said in part 1. Even so, this retcon is ironically more consistent with everything else said in the series outside of that one interaction with Ibisu. Since if everyone always has chakra, which is then amplified by your internal energies when you want to create a jutsu, it makes sense why people would have chakra reserves, as Kakashi said in part 1. It also now makes sense how the Nine-Tails chakra was skimmed off into Naruto's always present and existing chakra pool. It makes sense that the Nine-Tails had Naruto's chakra to steal while he was in KCM, even though Naruto wasn't creating more of his own chakra. It makes sense why it's stated multiple times that if one's chakra goes to 0, they will die. Because humans don't create chakra. They can just amplify existing chakra, which everyone is born with. So once it goes to 0, that is it. Which is also...
And I just assumed it was like an Adam Eve type of thing. Like, because besides the chakra fruit, obviously Otsutsuki naturally have chakra. So with Hagoromo and his brother, I call it Hagoromo is the Sage of Six Paths. With Hagoromo and his brother, what's his name, Hamura? Basically Kaguya had kids with Odu to create those two. And then they had kids, and then like this just kind of just keep branching and branching and branching and branching and branching. So we get the present day, which is why they don't have like pale skin or some Hagoromos. And that would explain why every person has chakra, because Otsutsuki innately have chakra. So everyone is like, I don't know, 0.5% Otsutsuki or something. You feel me? And like it just got diluted and diluted and diluted and diluted over time. And we're like, by essence, human have it. Also, human already had chakra. So it being in nature more kind of explains how, because it's life energy, sages can absorb that type of energy from the atmosphere as a way to kind of recharge.
So why Kakashi dies in the pain arc after using up the last drop of his chakra. Everything makes sense once you ignore the in-depth explanation provided by Ibisu in part 1 and just go with Madara's instead. And by the way, this isn't a case where you can just say that Ibisu just didn't know what he was talking about, because Kakashi was also there and backed up what he was saying, even though Kakashi himself later goes on to contradict this. So this obviously is a retcon. Now with that said, this does raise an issue, which is that Hagoromo, being the son of Kaguya, means that he gave humans chakra years after he defeated Kaguya and sealed her on the moon. So how did the Ten Tails Kaguya cultivated absorb the chakra of humans before she had children? If humans didn't have chakra until her son gave it to them years later. Mind you, it was literally stated that the Ten Tails sucks the chakra from all living things on the planet. The key word there being chakra. So if humans didn't have chakra, how was it taking chakra from these humans? And how did it bear a chakra fruit? It just doesn't make sense. Now, if I was to patch this plot hole, I would simply say that humans always had chakra even prior to Hagoromo giving them his chakra. It just wasn't as potent to allow them to later weaponize it to form jutsu. This, of course, is just my headcanon. It directly contradicts what is actually said in the manga, which is why this is one of the actual legitimate...
But to be fair, this whole video talked about how the manga contradicts itself when it comes to this topic. So I think headcanon is not like a completely unbelievable thing in these fields.
Plot holes in Naruto. I will say that another possibility is that the Ten Tails absorbs more than just chakra, since we also know that it absorbs the natural energy of the planet, which is of course not chakra. So that's why I'm not sure why they use the word chakra instead of energy, since the Ten Tails clearly absorbs all kinds of energy.
But like, the sages literally talk about how there's like chakra in the air. I'm not sure. I might be just thinking about Ryatsu.
Energy, not just chakra. So a simple swap of the word chakra to energy would explain why it also absorbs the existing mental and physical energies of humans who didn't yet possess chakra, the same way it absorbs the natural energy of the planet. The problem is that both Naruto and Boruto plays a very loose game when it comes to the meaning of words. On one hand, the Biju are described as pure chakra, while the Ten Tails that consist of the chakra of said Biju is also said to be a mass of natural energy. This of course doesn't make sense, since natural energy is stated to be different from chakra. So the Ten Tails is literally the chakra of the Biju combined. Since they were created using the chakra of the Ten Tails, how can the Ten Tails also just be a mass of natural energy?
That's like a paradox of doom, because to recreate the Ten Tails you have to combine all of the Biju, right? But if the Biju are chakra beings, and this is a natural being, because they were created by splitting up the Ten Tails' energy, you don't go from splitting up natural energy to it just magically being converted to Chakra.
It clearly also has chakra. The same thing for the Biju as well. If the Ten Tails is a mass of natural energy, how can the Biju be pure chakra when they were created using the energy of the Ten Tails? Something just doesn't quite connect. Boruto also does this as well, where Boruto himself says that Uzuhiko uses the planet's chakra, which we later come to find out is just the kinetic energy the planet generates by simply rotating. So why would Boruto call that chakra, not just planetary energy? I have no idea. It does seem as if chakra is just another name for energy instead of being a distinctive type of energy. So one can just call anything chakra and it wouldn't be a problem. With that said, I did find something very interesting while doing my research for this video because I forgot about it. I mean, I haven't read part 1 of Naruto in a very long time. But there are two distinctive types of directional chakra users. Mr. Jiraiya points out in Naruto that because it is necessary to mix energies in order to manipulate chakra, we unconsciously swirl those energies around inside ourselves.
That's so crazy.
Some people happen to rotate them clockwise and some counterclockwise. In short, if you visualize, let's say, the water inside the balloon swirling in the opposite direction of your personal directional type, your chakra flow gets impeded and you won't be able to build up good rotation. They can also tell your directional type using the pattern of your hair. The way your hair grows indicates what it is right away. So if it goes to the right, you are a clockwise type, and if it goes to the left, you're a counterclockwise type instead. Now this means nothing to the video topic at hand, maybe like, somewhat in some sense. I mean, the video is about chakra, but it doesn't really fit into the entire plot hole theme. But it's not just a little fun thing that I think I should mention because I doubt most people remember the same way I didn't, so, whatever. But yeah, with that said guys, that is it for the video. I could go more in depth, but I think, I don't need to overcomplicate what I'm saying here. It's pretty clear that there's some retcons that happened in Naruto. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing, retcons happen all the time in a lot of series, but I think I should point this out because
we already even talked about like all the retcons that happened in Ben 10, which there were a lot. But yeah, shout out to Kidomaki, you know what I'm saying? You have earned by a large margin I subscribe, I turn on that bell as well. Make sure y'all do the same down below. Discord com is linked to keep you tapped in. Make sure you don't miss anything, and make sure you can contact me directly. As always, y'all know what time to find me tomorrow. Peace.